Welcome to I Hate James Dobson. This episode has a lot of visual gags, which is great for an audio podcast. Welcome to I Hate James Dobson. My name is Jake. I'm a former evangelical turned queer sex therapist. And today, I'm truly touched to have my tenacious teammate, the thoughtful, tender therapist who takes time to talk to the tens of teens who tune into our telecast and whose tasteful tactics transcend temporal tears. Brooke, how are you?
That was really nice. I'm getting sad because we're getting really close to the end of the alphabet.
Yeah, I still have to figure out something to do with that.
You're going to figure it out.
Readers, write in and let us know what I should do as an intro.
I think numbers.
Numbers?
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm sick, and when I'm sick, I'm a baby, and I want everyone to know that Jake is so nice and filled my big dumb cup for me in the break between recording. That was so nice.
Hey, remember, God gives his toughest battles to his bravest soldiers, so...
Yeah.
Your hurt tummy, it puts you right up there. I don't know if you can be sainted before death, but we should look into it.
Okay, yeah.
This episode comes out on June 23rd, which means it's right after Chicago's Pride Fest.
Oh.
Last year, I got to see JoJo Siwa perform.
Okay, great.
Mostly because I was waiting to see the drag queen Safira Cristal later in the day, and I wanted to get like a good spot, and there wasn't really a crowd for JoJo Siwa.
Oh. JoJo Siwa is like dating a man.
I know.
Wow.
Which, bisexuals, orgies, but also like... A reminder, we have merch. Buy our merch.
Yes. Our merch is so cute.
It's very cute.
You're going to love it. And don't you want to walk around proclaiming how much you hate James Dobson? I do.
Or the B is for orgies. That's incredible.
I want the B is for orgies. We've got to get that on the merch immediately. I want to walk around wearing I Hate James Dobson merch and have somebody say, "Did you know that's a podcast?" And then I want to say,
no, I had no idea.
yes, I do.
Editing Jake here. Good news. We do, in fact, have merch of bisexuals. That's orgies. The best quote by James Dobson that has ever existed. It is available right now on our store. We also added cute things like a collection of pins. So make sure to check it out at ihatejamesdobson.printful.me. That is printful.me or ihatejamesdobson.com. Ding! Though it still remains Pride Month, I'm honestly a little burnt out talking about how much Dobson hates queer people.
Oh, thank God.
It is such a pervasive theme throughout all of his work, but also he can be really boring about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're agents of Satan. Yeah, we're undermining civilization. Yeah, we're the greatest threat to religious freedom and a sign of the apocalypse itself. Blah, blah, blah. What else is new, you know?
Right.
So today, we're going to move away from Dobson, and we're going to talk about another staple of evangelical content. I am feeling silly and playful, and I want to introduce you, Brooke, to a mini-boss, we'll say, of this world. You probably don't know his name, but I guarantee you're familiar with his work. Brooke, does the name Jack Chick mean anything to you?
Jack Chick?
Yeah.
No.
Incredible. Great. Brooke, let me tell you a story. Last December, I was at a furry convention here in Chicago. If you don't know, furries know how to fucking party, so it's a pretty good time. When you aren't being suffocated with chlorine gas, it's a different story. The convention space is huge. There's a main hotel. There's a sky bridge connecting the hotel to a huge convention hall. There's like 7 other hotels just for the guests of the convention, and those all sell out every year. There's a room lottery. It's crazy. Needless to say, it's a lot of walking. So one day, I'm walking through the sky bridge for like the 12th time that day. I'm exhausted, but I'm happy, surrounded by some of the most creative people around, wearing and displaying all kinds of art. This podcast is explicitly pro-furry. All of a sudden, I spot something that makes my heart stop. Sitting on a windowsill, quietly and unassumingly, I see this little comic book.
Oh, I can't wait.
I proceed to laugh hysterically as my boyfriend worries about my mental health for not the last time. Someone at this furry convention was passing out these books called Chick Tracts. Little comic books meant to bring someone to Jesus.
At the furry convention?
Uh-huh. which is why I screamed and started laughing. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how the fuck these things came to be in an episode I've titled The Ballad of Jack Chick. Brooke, are you familiar with these at all? Have you seen these around? You haven't? Oh my god, that shocks me, actually. They're meant just to be, like, left around for people that have, like, passive activism.
What is it?
Oh my god. Even better than you don't know. We're gonna have such a good time. We're gonna get to it. But first, we have to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Chick.
Jack Chick.
Jack Chick was notoriously media shy throughout his life, especially in the later years. As such, finding reliable sources on his life is actually a very difficult task. For this episode, I relied on 2 to 3 sources. Notably, I relied a lot on his Wikipedia page. This would earn me deductions in points for my academic assignment. I hope that you readers grant me more grace. Jack Chick didn't give many interviews to media throughout his life. It was only after his death that a good amount of information came out about him, and then it was filtered through the lens of people close to him. A book was released after his death called You Don't Know Jack that is a source for this episode, albeit one that I am persistently critical and skeptical of. And the same person who wrote this book has a 17-part YouTube series about his relationship with Jack Chick.
Oh my god.
And it's a lot of the same information, which was like 2 to 3 sources depending on how you cut it. The videos are really interesting to watch if your brain is as fucked up as mine is. I first thought that the narrator, a guy named David Daniels, had a crush on Jack Chick because of how he talks about him. But I realized as time went on, he low-key, like, worships Jack. Like, he talks about Jack as if he's a prophet. We'll touch back again at this at the end, but that's who's giving the majority of Jack Chick's life story, so it's a very reliable source. What we do know, Jack Chick was born in 1924 in Boyle Heights, a neighborhood in Los Angeles, California. His upbringing was not particularly religious. His childhood was described as non-religious, though this could mean anything from militant atheism to pretty much anything other than, like, fundamentalists. His posthumous accounts talk about how the religious kids at school would avoid him because he was the last person they thought would be converted. This is a trope in conversion stories. The further you stray from God's light, the bigger the redemption. If I had to guess, based on nothing, he grew up fairly agnostic, like he didn't really think about religion all that often. Jack has always had a flair for the dramatic. He's involved in his high school drama club, and he received a 2-year scholarship to the Pasadena Playhouse School of Theater, which is, that's not nothing.
No.
However, before he could finish that scholarship, he was drafted into the Army in 1943, during a little thing you might have heard of called World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He was stationed in the Eastern Theater, which, again, theater is funny to me, with assignments in places like Australia, the Philippines, and Japan. He never saw combat, though. He was a cryptologist, someone tasked with making and breaking codes. This time served as a great mythologizing source for Jack. He claims that almost all of his fellow servicemen were killed in combat. The same servicemen, Jack says, engaged in sinful and lewd behavior that, even to the unsaved Jack Chick, stood out as an example of poor behavior. According to his own narrative, Jack Chick picked up swearing during this time.
Oh no!
I have no idea what this looked like because getting evangelicals to swear is like an impossible task. I have to imagine he was called like a son of a bitch quite frequently in military training. I think that's what they're talking about. They make it seem like this, like, and that's how he strayed so far from God's light. After the war, Jack returned to the Pasadena Playhouse where he met his future wife, Lola Lynn.
Come on.
I believe that's a real person. Like, that seems non-controversial.
Jack Chick and Lola Lynn?
The names are fabulous. Lola Lynn came from a very fundamentalist family. According to myth, when Jack met her family, they reportedly asked Lola, "What did you marry?" especially due to his proclivity for lewd language. Jack credits his wife, and especially her family, for his conversion to fundamentalist Christianity. According to his story, Lola Lynn's families were regular listeners to the radio show Old Fashioned Revival Hour, a show created by a man named Charles Fuller. Fuller, at one point, served as pastor of the Moody Church here in Chicago, which is affiliated with Moody Bible Institute. Brooke, what do you know about revivals?
Oh, like
religious revivals.
Yeah, like tent revivals?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say snake handling.
So that's a branch of Christianity called Pentecostalism, which is, like, can be very dramatic, makes for very good tent revival kind of spectacle. Yeah.
Yeah. Like big, lots of people.
Yeah.
like one big preacher.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yes, exactly. That is often like the image we have when it comes to like religious revivals, especially Christian revivals in the US. Revivals in the name, right? Like to be revived. So they're theoretically restoration of the church to a vital and fervent relationship with God after a period of moral decline. The church is dead, but all of a sudden it gets revived, and because God is moving, then people are handling snakes, coming all together, doing all that good stuff. Christians are always trying to be in a period of revival, especially in America. We talked about this before in like the history of like the Great Awakenings. There's always like a new Great Awakening, kind of all leads together. The broadcast by Charles Fuller was called the Old-Fashioned Revival Hour, which made in 1924, it made Fuller one of the very first radio evangelists. This is not a Dobson-focused episode, but evangelicals using the medium of radio, I think, is so interesting. Like it starts with Charles Fuller and continues, like Dobson just like blew up into this whole other thing because of it. On their honeymoon in 1948, Lola's parents made Jack listen to an episode of the Old-Fashioned Revival Hour. That's the reason why Jack became a born-again Christian, so he says. From the official biography, quote, Jack recalls, God was already working on my heart, but when Fuller said, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow, those words shot right through to my soul and brought me to repentance. So that night, on his honeymoon, Sunday night at 8:30 p.m., right after the radio broadcast, Jack went into the kitchen and cried out to God to save him. And he did. Cool.
Okay. Right there in the kitchen.
Yep. Clearly he was a evangelical, so like maybe that's true to the story. Also makes for a very nice story. So.
Sure.
After the war, Jack got a job at an aerospace engineering company. He mainly created graphics and designs for them. He was not that smart. He was not an aerospace engineer. His artistic talent led him to pursue comic creation. In 1953, he co-created a comic strip called Times Have Changed? ? This comic showed prehistoric cavemen and women facing modern problems. The vibe is very Flintstones-esque, although these comics predate the Flintstones by about 7 years. This is a fact used by Jack Chick supporters as evidence that the secular world ripped him off. I am more skeptical of that, as you may imagine. In any case, Times Have Changed was a fairly successful endeavor. The comic strip eventually failed, according to those close to Chick, because his co-creator, a guy named P.S. Clayton, did not uphold his responsibilities, and thus Chick was left with all of the work. It was also reported that the failure of this comic and Jack's eventual breaking of the contract was why his later work never found mainstream success. Again, color me skeptical. While at work one day in El Monte, California, Jack was sitting in his car reading a book called Power from On High by Charles Finney that an old welder had given him, apparently. He remembers, quote, that book pushed my button. I went to church and saw all the deadness and hypocrisy, and I thought, that's why there's no revival.
What is this episode?
What do you mean?
What is this episode? It's so folksy and weird.
Yep. That inspired Jack to write down and draw his thoughts. The culmination of these endeavors was a comic strip called Why No Revival?
Oh my god.
I have apologies again to Karina. I have printed out a lot of these comics. We'll get into it.
Why no revival?
We are not reading all of them. Oh my god. It would take a whole 10 minutes to get through all of them.
Wait, what year was this?
It doesn't say. Like 1950s.
Okay. Dear ones in Christ.
So again, the theme of revival is really interesting here, trying to bring the church back to life. And importantly, in this comic strip, Jack Chick was criticizing other Christians, not non-believers. It is because of the deadness and hypocrisy of the church, he says. Many of the people featured in this comic book were directly inspired by people in Jack Chick's church. They were not happy about this when they realized they'd been drawn into his crackpot comic, especially because they represented the deadness and hypocrisy that he lambasted.
Oh my god.
Publishers didn't want to print a nobody's religious comic strip, so Jack Chick was forced to take out an $800 loan. Accounting for inflation, this is a loan of $8,611.95. Wow, inflation sucks.
Oh my god, there's so much dialogue.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of text. Kind of bad for a comic strip, huh?
Yeah.
I've circled a couple things throughout these.
I see.
After creating this, Jack was driving down the road when he saw a group of teenagers. It's unclear what they were doing, why this hit him so much. I could not find any more details about it. But he says, quote, "At the time, I didn't like teenagers or their rebellion. But all of a sudden, the power of God hit me, and my heart broke, and I was overcome with the realization that these teens were probably on their way to hell.
Oh.
With tears pouring down my face, I pulled the car off the road as fast as I could, as God poured a story into my mind." That is when Jack Chick wrote A Demon's Nightmare as a result. He claimed it only took him 15 minutes to write because he was so inspired. I believe it only took him 15 minutes to write this.
Oh my God.
I'm passing you stuff. I'm passing you a lot of things.
Okay, this is so exciting. There's so much dialogue. Some of those squares are just dialogue and no drawings.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, A Demon's Nightmare.
I'm very tempted to say he's not a good comic artist for a lot of reasons.
He's not.
But he was so successful that clearly he was good at something with these. So I guess it depends on what metric.
Okay, so this is like teenagers are going to go to hell.
Yes. Teenagers are going to go to hell, but there's demons that are trying to keep this kid from Christ. He's praying. At one point, a demon talks to his mom and says, "Mother, isn't that a disgusting scene?" And the mom says, "Dear, you're ruining your trousers. Your friends are waiting for you downstairs. For pity's sakes, don't tell them what happened to you today." He became a Christian.
Oh my God. And somebody took this to the furry convention and was like...
So, readers, again, these are a lot of visual gags. This is an audio medium. I have the physical booklets here because these are the ones that I found at the furry convention.
And they were like, probably one of these furries will pick this up and have a change of heart.
Yes.
What?
Do me a favor, turn to the very, very last page.
Okay.
On one side, there are two demons talking.
Yeah.
And on the other side, it's another thing just of text.
Uh-huh.
This is going to be the staple of, one of the staples of Jack Chick's books. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me." And it has the sinner's prayer written at the bottom. This says, "Wow, since you've been so moved by this and you want to dedicate your life to Christ, here's how you do it."
Oh my God.
Where Why No Revival was about Christianity, A Demon's Nightmare was the first to have this sinner prayer included in the back. This would be a staple in all future publications. Jack started getting notoriety for these comics. According to legend, Jack gave his aerospace boss a copy of one of his early cartoons. The boss later told Jack, quote, "My mother-in-law said you are a man of God and I should help you on your next printing." At the time, Jack largely presented his comics as flip charts, which I find very funny, just like a whiteboard, like he's presenting at work. He claims once that he presented a story to 11 inmates, and none of them converted to evangelical Christianity afterwards. Also, according to legend, Jack met a man named Bob Hammond, I don't care, a missionary broadcaster on a program called The Voice of China and Asia. Hammond reportedly told Chick that the Chinese Communist Party used small comic strips to, quote, "win kids to communism." This inspired Jack to change the format of his work into the little booklets we know and loathe today. These small booklets are meant to be a type of activism. You can leave them around or give them to people so that, quote, "their souls will be one." And that is a really specific phrase that is used all throughout the Chick publishing philosophy. The idea of, and this is a phrase they use a lot, being a soul winner is pervasive. It is a game to win, and you have to win over the lost.
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. So whoever put these at the furry convention, they got them from... I should not name the church. Got them from a church in Fayetteville, Arkansas. You can order a bunch of these online. We'll talk about this at the end. And you can put a little stamp on them. So it's advertising for you and for Jesus.
Oh my God.
Let's start with the anatomy of a Chick tract.
Okay.
In one way, these books are very creative. Say what you will about Jack Chick, but reading these booklets, I have found new ways to be offended that I did not know I could be. They're also incredibly formulaic and monotonously repetitive. You start with some culture war talking point and you take it to 100. For example, Halloween is bad? No, let's say if you go trick-or-treating, you're liable to be murdered in a satanic sacrifice. Right? Solid theme. I wrote this example just for the sake of hyperbole, but it turns out this had already been made into a Chick tract.
Oh my God.
I have it printed out.
Yes.
This one is called The Trick.
Oh. Incredible.
And again, I'm not speaking with hyperbole here. I've circled. Can you read the part that I've circled?
The total sacrifices will be obtained again by injecting our special poisons and drugs into the treats. That again. Oh no. That didn't happen. Oh my God. Oh look, there's what is it called? Not a pentagon.
Pentagram. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So once you have your thesis, your story, you make some kind of narrative about it. It doesn't have to be a good story or even a finished narrative. It's just some kind of hook to get people in. Step 2, put way too much text on a page, including a lot of biblical citations. You'll see some things in the bottom corners. Those are like Bible verses. About 3/4 of the way through, have one character start monologuing about how Jesus is the solution to your problems, and have some of the characters convert.
Wait. Oh, that was an ancient custom. That's not what our Halloween is about. Wrong, Brenda.
Damn it, Brenda.
Wrong, Brenda. I'm going to start saying that to you all the time.
Those who convert, they could be the protagonists. They could be the bad guys. It doesn't have to make sense for a character's growth or motivations, just someone's going to convert, inevitably. End of the page that's just text with instructions on how to pray the sinner's prayer. Put in a poorly drawn dog named Spike somewhere in there. He's in most of the comics. Randomly add in realistic pictures into your cartoony style and make it as jarring as possible. Bonus points, you can draw non-white people in ways that feel like you're a modern Disney, trying to be sensitive to race, but overcorrecting and being racist again. Also, there are some recurring characters, although there isn't like a set lore. A girl named Lil Susie is in a few comics. She's often at odds with her public school teacher. She's mentored by her grandfather, who has an eye patch, who I believe is supposed to be Jack Chick's like rugged stand-in. Tangentially, Susie is also the name of Jack's second wife. I have no idea how purposeful that is, but it skeeves me out that he named a little girl Susie, who's the protagonist and also his wife. Whatever. So at this point...
This is so good. I love this so much.
Brooke, do you see this manila folder?
Oh my God, wait. Their minds are influenced by these dark powers to alter their way of thinking. And then the lady's thinking, how do I shut her up?
Uh-huh.
Oh God. Are you saying that Susie and Jerry are under Satan's influence? This is getting scary. Oh my God. This is so good.
I can't believe you have not heard of these before.
Never.
That's incredible.
Wrong, Brenda.
Wrong, Brenda. So at this point, Jack has funding, a format, and a passion.
Yes.
He starts
Jack.
writing and drawing at a frenetic pace, and he covers a range of topics. Some are generic, convert to Jesus to save your life from hell. He also targets specific groups. Perhaps unsurprisingly, he has a number of comics that talk massive shit about gay people.
Oh, great.
These are deeply homophobic and horrible, but I've circled... Read just the first 4 panels.
I'm so excited.
Describe the first 4 panels.
For the cover of this one, for this blog, can you draw pictures of us in Jack Chick style?
If I was talented enough. Oh, I could get Boyfriend to do it. Boyfriend's a good artist.
Please have Boyfriend do it.
I could commission him.
And have it just be me going like this and me going, wrong, Brenda. Oh my God. Okay, and this is Charles, my wife. Oh my God.
So this one is called...
Wait, that guy looks like Nathan Lane.
I think that was his model. This one is called Birds and the Bees, and it opens in a classroom where a teacher is introducing the kids to a gay couple.
I'm just going to read this. You cut as much as you want. Children, today we have a big surprise. We have 2 dentists who were nice enough to come visit us. It really is Nathan Lane. These wonderful men are highly respected in our community. Okay, let's find out when it goes off the rails. Hi, kids. My name is Larry. Hi, Larry. And this is Charles, my wife.
Famously, gay people refer to their partners as their wives.
Hi. Oops, wife. Children, this is an ordinary, loving family. God has blessed you two. I see how much you love each other. Yes, we do. And next month, we're adopting a baby.
Look at the gay people.
The gay people are in love and hugging each other, but then there's devils behind them.
Yes.
Also hugging each other. Oh my God. Do you have a question, Frankie? Yes. Are they queers?
I don't like how he says queers. I don't like how he writes queers.
Are they queers? Did you say queers? How dare you? That's a forbidden word at this school. Shame on you. I'm going to read this whole thing, Jake. I'm sorry. But my dad said it's wrong. No, your father is wrong. Oh, she's woke. That's why we don't like her. His dad should be in an insane asylum. People like him are dangerous. Now you apologize to those nice gentlemen, Frankie, or I'll send you to the principal. Do I have to? Kids, lots of great and famous people are gay, but some people are evil and intolerant. They hate us and call us all kinds of nasty names, but if we get our way, they'll all be in prison. What? Oops, time's up. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Larry and Charles. This is how the gays are changing the way little school kids think. Oh no, they're bringing tolerance and joy. Wow, what do you think of that, Susie? My grandpa told me not to say anything until I'm off school grounds. Ms. Hen really told Frankie off for saying queer. Oops, sorry. She thinks the way they live life is cool, and she said God bless them. Susie, you told us you read the Bible with your grandpa, right? Yeah. So did God really bless them? If he did, being gay must be okay, right, Susie? Right. Wrong, Brenda. God hates fags. I mean, homosexuality. And he warns us in the Bible to stay away from it. And the Bible is true. The Bible shows us what's right and wrong. Years ago, it was read in schools and kids learned about heaven and hell. These kids suck. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to stop in 1 second, but I almost can't even stop. But now we can't have a Bible or even talk about Jesus in school. So kids grow up not knowing what God says about the devil or what sin is. Yeah. I mean, this is just proving the teacher right.
Also, you are allowed to have a Bible in school. This is talking about, we've talked about this before in evangelicalism. Kids are allowed to have a Bible in school. Whatever. They are allowed to pray in school too.
Oh my God, this is psychotic. God doesn't want anyone to go to hell. Oh my God. More Jesus crap.
Yeah, again, about 3/4 of the way through, it just turns into someone monologuing about
the
Jesus.
Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, that is crazy. And this is my wife, Charles. I mean, oh wait, you marked this part. Let's see what it is. Today those same kind of people are back, but now they're called gays. Wow. Why did Ms. Hen bring them into our class? She had to because of new laws. Satan wants to destroy us kids. But God still says being gay is an abomination. If anyone tries to make you gay, stay away from them.
Yeah. So this one really plays on the idea that gays are trying to groom your kids.
Why? Okay, I can't talk about it anymore. Gays don't want your fucking kids. Okay, that was so much fun, I can't even stand it.
Well, we have a lot. This next one is much less fun. It's called Uninvited.
I promise I won't read the whole thing for all of these, but you made it too fun.
This one straight up tells people dying of AIDS that they deserved it and that they were gay because they got molested.
You're going to have to record me again. I am going to read the whole thing again. I'm sorry. You did this to me.
Radio Theater presents.
Oh man, not again. My sleeping pills aren't working. I'm wide awake. I'll go talk to the nurse. This place sure is creepy at night. Old Clara's on duty. I wonder what she's reading tonight. Can't sleep, Bobby? No, so I thought I'd visit you. Still reading that spooky stuff? Oh, yes. Do you actually believe that baloney? It's not baloney, Bobby. I believe it with all my heart. Clara, you don't think those weird creatures actually exist, do you? Of course, don't you? Absolutely not. This is the 21st century. Well, you should. What are they talking about? That's why you guys are in this place. Oh.
Jack Ship believes the demons are real.
Oh.
And goblins and ghouls and ghosts.
Well, then he should love Halloween. My break's over, Bobby. I've got to check on the other patients. Clara, are you telling me we're dying in here because of the power? Sorry, can't talk, Bobby. Gotta go. Last night, she really scared me about my condition. She talked like a crazy person. She is nuts. She's a superstitious old broad. We've got science on our side. She shouldn't even be working here. Wrong, Brenda.
Wrong, Brenda.
What is this about? We haven't got to the plot yet.
So, describe the people that are talking, like the men.
They are in an insane asylum.
They're Describe their, like, skin condition.
Oh. Oh my god.
Uh-huh. That's how Jack Chick draws AIDS patients.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh no, they're in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in that kind of hospital. When she comes tonight, I'll put her in her place. Oh god, they're covered in lesions.
Mm-hmm.
Careful, Harold. She passes out the pain meds we need her. We've got enough pain problems just trying to make it day to day without her upsetting us. She has no idea what we're going through. She's an enemy. I don't think she even realizes we were born this way. I'll straighten her out. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you tonight? Upset. Something you said really hurt us. You hater. You're mean, Clara. You must really hate us. Don't play that game on me, guys. You know I love you or else I wouldn't be here. Cleaning up after you, praying for you, and putting up with your sassy mouths and dirty jokes. Sassy mouths. So what set you off this time? Something I said to Bobby? Yes. That evil spirit thing. How dare you? Do you prefer devils? Because I don't see the Holy Spirit in any of you. Are you saying we're not children of God? Of course you're not. Each one of you knows what you did. Now you've got full-blown AIDS. Oh my God. Not full-blown AIDS.
It's...
Oh God. And your days are... This is the nurse saying this to them?
This is the Christian... She's the hero of this story.
Now you've got full-blown AIDS and your days are numbered. Guess who's grabbing your souls the second you die? I mean, this woman should be fired. You have no right to talk to us that way. Oh, yes, I do. You have no idea what I've been through. Sit back down and let me tell you my story. Okay. Okay. She was raped in a field.
In graphic detail.
In graphic detail. And why is she telling the AIDS patients this? Okay, then we cut to... If Jesus hadn't saved me and cast out that devil with its nasty thoughts, I could have become a lesbian. Or worse. Wait, she could have been a lesbian because she was raped?
He believes that you are gay because sexual trauma.
And dying from AIDS just like you are now. Wait a minute, we were born this way, Clara. That is a big fat lie to justify your lifestyle. Okay, this is horrific.
It's bad.
Almost every one of, out of the last 40 patients, almost every one of them was sexually molested as a child. What about you, gentlemen? And then they all say they were molested. That is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life.
We have a whole middle folder of ones that just get worse.
This is just, these just got passed out in the street?
Yes.
In the 50s?
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s today.
Oh my God. And like kids could just pick this up and be like,
yes.
Oh my God.
The last one, The Birds and the Bees, was made for kids.
Now you've got full-blown AIDS, Brenda. Oh my God. These are horrifying. This is terrible.
Uh-huh. I
thought that would be funny, but that was terrible. Now you've got full-blown AIDS. You're going to have to splice these, okay? Just make the TikTok.
I forgot we were recording.
You're going to splice, okay? Now you've got full-blown AIDS. That is a big fat lie. I could have become a lesbian or worse.
Or worse.
I am having so much fun with this one. This is crazy.
I thought I was excited for this one.
I mean, I guess if I think about it, I guess I have seen like shit like this around.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I realized it was like one guy's thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was like stuff people
He has
put around.
So many of these. As he became more successful, Jack started translating these comics. Often this meant translating them into other language.
Oh, no.
There's one called This Was Your Life that has been translated into about 100 languages, from German and Arabic to more niche languages like Blue Hmong, which I had not heard of until just now. He also translated these comics for other cultures.
Oh my God.
For instance,
I'm so scared.
This Was Your Life And this is your life adapted for Asians. Also, I think I broke our stuff because for whatever reason, some of these came out as just red.
God, okay. So this is the same thing, but adapted for
Exact
Asians.
same story, exact same dialogue, but like with Asian people.
So just
And also badly drawn Asian people. I said before, like, it seems like he's trying to be some version of woke and like trying not to be racist, but he tries so hard that it kind of like horseshoes back around and feels kind of racist.
And like, why is it like the panels are different?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is awful.
Most famously, he has an entire category of comics made just for a black audience. These are sometimes called black tracks. And yeah, it's pretty racist.
I don't want any more.
We have so many more.
Tiny shoes.
One is called Tiny Shoes, that is made for a Hispanic audience. And this one was also at the furry convention. And the one underneath it is made for the black audience. It's called Sneakers, which also feels like a microaggression. And in the one called Sneakers, look at how he draws the black kid.
Oh.
How would you describe this representation of a human being?
Don't make me. How would you describe this representation of a human being?
Boyfriend said he's an E.T. looking motherfucker. And I don't think that's inaccurate. Jack Chick clearly does not know how to draw non-white people.
Yeah, like none of these people look well done. No. These aren't good.
The story of this one is there's a dad who's an alcoholic who keeps promising to get his little kid new shoes. And every night he goes out with the intention to buy shoes and then spends his money on gambling or drinking or whatever. One night, he decides he's going to do it. He gets sidetracked again, but the bar gets destroyed by lightning. He said, oh my God, it's an act of God. Goes buy the shoes, comes home. But the time he comes home, his kid had stepped on glass and died because he didn't get him the shoes in time. On the website, there's different categories. There's an entire category for quote-unquote false religion. There are a lot of anti-Muslim comics, such as this one called The Little Bride.
Oh my God. This is a nightmare.
This one also printed out red, and I don't know why.
Oh my God.
In The Little Bride, the villain is a kid who's trying to convert his kids to Islam. The hero is a kid who successfully converts those friends to Jesus.
Oh, Miss Han is back.
Yeah, the public school teacher is back. Oh, and Eye Patch Grandpa is back.
Oh yeah, I bet Grandpa.
Who I think is the Jack Chick stand-in because he always has the right thing to say, and he's like, let me tell you about Jesus.
He's a little bit like James Bondy. He's got a bow tie and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. The Quran is your most holy book, right? Yes, it is.
It really feeds into this like evangelical apologetics kind of fantasy where like if you just make the right argument, you can disprove other religions, but you can't do that to Jesus because their arguments are full proof.
Wow.
There's one part that is circled. It's not related to the Islam piece, which I find interesting. The argument mainly for this is, perhaps as the title gives away, the main argument is Islam is bad because the main prophet married a child.
I just got to that. Yuck, that's gross. That makes me want to throw up. Only a dirty old man would do a terrible thing like that to a little girl. I mean, isn't the Bible just full of atrocities?
Yeah, I think it's a fair critique of Islam. And also, the Bible, pretty fucked up too.
Yeah.
It's not saying it's inaccurate. His history's messy, but like, it very much is like, why are you focusing on the speck on someone else's eye when there's a plank in your own?
What'd you draw here? Not millions of years like our teachers tell us. Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets into anti-evolution in this track.
My goodness, Susie, we almost became Muslims. I want Jesus. Wrong, Brenda. We're Christians. Okay.
There are anti-Hindu comics, anti-Buddhists, a lot of anti-pagan, although he doesn't really understand what paganism is. He doesn't really understand what any of these other religions are, to be fair. He's just pretty fucking racist about it. Unlike other figures we've talked about, or perhaps like them, but with a magnitude of difference, Jack Chick hated Catholics.
Oh.
Part 3, conspiracies. Spoilers, I suppose, but Jack Chick believed that the Roman Catholic Church was Satan's church. From the YouTube series I watched, quote, "The Roman Catholics are trying to create a one-world religion, a one-world Catholic religion. Jack wasn't against the ecumenical movement, allowing Protestants and Catholics to talk nice to each other, because he hated people, because he was desperate for souls to be saved. He made a ton of anti-Catholic comics, such as this one, called The Death Cookie."
The death cookie?
What do you think the Death Cookie is?
Communion.
Yes, the Death Cookie is a communion wafer.
You've got to be out of your mind.
And Jack's saying that communion wafers are false idols because you believe that your salvation comes from eating these and not from Jesus, that tear people away from real salvation. He also says communion wafers are a reboot of people worshiping the Egyptian god Osiris, because people who worshipped Osiris also made circular bread things.
Was Jack Chick okay?
No, we're going to get into it. He does this a lot, though. He also says that Islam is Egyptian god worship repackaged because moon.
Because moon. Okay, this one's boring.
Yeah.
This one's a lot of words.
Yes.
Yikes.
But these comics aren't just Catholics have a different belief system than I do. This one gets markedly less funny. This one is called Holocaust.
Okay. You are trolling me.
There's a bit on, I think, the second or third page that I've circled that I need. I don't need you to read it. I need you to see it. I'm happy to read it if you don't feel comfortable reading it.
Oh my god. Oh, you drew an arrow with exclamation points.
Uh-huh.
Is this it? Is a documented fact that the Gestapo was run by the Jesuits and that Hitler was a faithful Roman Catholic simply following the laws set forth in the Council of Trent.
So his argument throughout this entire comic strip is that the Catholic Church orchestrated all of World War II and the Holocaust on purpose. So obviously, this is entirely untrue and incredibly bigoted. And I don't know that I need to do this, but just to set the record straight, no. Hitler's family was traditionally Catholic and he was technically confirmed, but he was not a practicing Christian in any sense of the word as an adult. He sometimes alluded to the Platonic ideal of God, but was more symbolic than representative of some deeply held religious belief. And no, the Jesuits, which are Catholic priests, the whole thing, we're not going to get into the nuance, didn't control the Gestapo. In the Nuremberg trials after World War II, where we kind of held some Nazis liable for crimes against humanity, prosecutors argued that Hitler and others engaged in criminal conspiracies to eliminate Christianity. 43 Jesuits were killed in concentration camps, Jesuit schools were closed, and so on. It is just nonsense. Also, there is a really interesting amount to be said about the actual pagan influences of the Nazis. People like Madame Helena Blavatsky and her influence there. We're not going to get into it here. But no, they were not Catholics. It is not the Catholics' fault. I don't like the Catholic Church.
This guy was nuts.
So, you may be thinking, where the fuck does he get this nonsense? Let me introduce you to a man named Alberto Rivera. Alberto Rivera was a notorious scammer with a history of fraud, stealing money, credit card theft, and so on. Rivera claims to have been a Jesuit priest who was sent by the Catholic Church to go undercover and destroy Protestant churches in the mid-1900s. He grew disillusioned with the Catholic Church when he actually read the Bible and denounced Catholicism in front of 50,000 people while speaking in Guatemala. This prompted him to be tortured by the Catholic Church, an ordeal that only ended when he became born again and was saved from the prison. There's no evidence of this. That's wrong, Brenda.
Wrong, Brenda.
I made a whole section where I went through his lies and tried to fact check them, but I made for a worse experience of this episode, and that's really not important. But Jack Chick ate that shit up like it was a McDonald's dollar menu item. I think this was for a few reasons. One, Rivera was good at conning people, and Jack Chick was an easy mark. Two, Jack Chick became really close friends with Rivera, and you don't want to think your friends are lying to you. And three, this confirmed Jack's already held beliefs that Catholicism is bad. Rivera made a lot of outrageous and obviously inaccurate claims. And here, I'm just going to copy and paste right from Wikipedia because I rarely see a Wikipedia section get so sassy. Quote, Rivera claimed that the Jesuit order was responsible for the creation of communism, Islam, and Nazism, causing the world wars, recessions, the Jonestown Massacre, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, and John F. Kennedy, parentheses, a Catholic. Rivera further stated that the Catholic Church wants to spread homosexuality and abortion, and that the charismatic movement is somehow a front for the Catholic Church. He said that the Jesuits were the mastermind behind the medieval Inquisition in the 13th century. The Jesuits were in fact founded in 1539. So just, he's saying all the shit, there's no evidence, and in fact, pretty on its face, really easy to debunk, like, haha, in the 1200s, they did this. They were not founded until the 1500s. One of Jack Chick's other friends and sources was a man named John Wade Todd. Todd was born in 1949, and that's about where our actual knowledge of his life stops. He claims, most notably for our purposes, that he used to be a Grand Druid priest for the Illuminati. He also claims to have been JFK's, quote, personal warlock, which is funny to me.
What?
Personal warlock to JFK.
Okay.
You know, famously the position that he had. They never talk about Ronald Reagan's wife's astronomer, who was a real person.
High on cold meds? What is going on?
He also claimed to have inside knowledge of the satanic cabal of the Illuminati and accused many Christian leaders of being part of it too. He had stories similar to that of Mike Warnke, one of the most famous instigators of the Satanic Panic. Fans of shows like You're Wrong About and The Last Podcast on the Left might remember Warnke and his book The Satan Seller. In fact, Todd and Warnke met, and apparently Todd accused Warnke of stealing his life story. This is so, like, in the weeds about, like, bitches in the Satanic Panic, but it's so funny to me.
I love that this whole episode started with, so I was at a furry convention.
And that's how it's going to end, too. His real life story, as far as I can tell, he started a career in public speaking around 1968, claiming to have been a witch while in the U.S. Navy. As far as I can tell, there's no record of him being in the Navy. Most of his life story is doing a grift, getting caught doing crimes, and moving on to a new grift, and often his crimes were about religion. He did join the Army in 1969, but was quickly discharged for mental health and drug issues. After that, he went back to public speaking in evangelical spaces. He was involved in the Jesus Movement Coffee House and appeared on the Faith Broadcasting Network, but is accused of preying on women and girls while at the coffee house, bringing a gun to church, using drugs, and impregnating his wife's teenage sister.
Oh.
So he was fired from the ministry after that.
Okay.
Him and his wife then moved to Dayton, Ohio, where he opened an occult bookstore and tried creating a Wiccan coven. He was found to have used drugs and raped underage girls. The official, or an official from the Church and School of Wicca, revoted the charter for this coven, which is a delightfully silly sentence in my humble opinion. Horrible circumstance, but imagine just being like, yeah, the official Wiccans said you're not part of us.
This is the wildest ride I've been on so far in this podcast journey.
He was given a 6-month sentence due to the rape, but only served 2 months due to severe epilepsy. In 1977, Todd came back into the evangelical circuit in a big way. He claimed that people such as Jerry Falwell, Billy Graham, Bob Jones, and Pat Robertson were members of the Illuminati. He also claimed that the Illuminati started Christian rock to entrap young people into rock music and its, quote, demonic beat. He also claimed that Jimmy Carter was the Antichrist, which is very silly. It was this time that he got connected with Jack Chick, who took his story as gospel and used it as a seemingly reliable source for chick tracks. Bringing us to our final chick track for this episode.
Yes.
Titled Dark Dungeons.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is this going to have a Jimmy Carter as...
No,
Okay.
That's hilarious. I don't think so. This is about Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yes. Oh god.
This might be... I don't know of the most. This is one of the most well-known chick tracks.
Yeah.
And it was made directly into like a fan-made movie. People took this story literally and adapted it. They were making fun of it, but you don't have to change any of the story for it to be ridiculous.
This isn't the movie they made with Tom Hanks, is it?
No.
Okay. Okay, wizard, cast your spell. Okay, dungeon master, my spell of light blinds the monster. The thief, Black Leaf, did not find the poison trap, and I declare her dead. No, not Black Leaf. No, no, I'm going to die. No, don't make me quit the game. Please don't. Somebody save me. You can't do this. Marcy, get out of here. You're dead. You don't exist anymore. Debbie, your cleric has been raised to the 8th level. I think it's time that you learn how to really cast spells. Yes, you have the personality for it now. You mean you're going to teach me how to have the real power? Oh no! Oh god! Now they're just a demon cult. The intense occult training through D&D prepared Debbie to. There's no Debbie in the occult. To accept the invitation to enter a witch's coven. Rad. I brought Elfstar to become a priestess and witch. This never happened when I was playing D&D. Welcome, Elfstar. Now you will become a priestess of the craft and the Temple of Diana. Ms. Frost, this is fantastic. This makes the game real. It's not a fantasy anymore. Last night I cast my first spell. This is real power. I knew you were ready by the way you played the game, but this is just the beginning. There's so much more. Which spell did you cast, Debbie? I used the mind bondage spell on my father. He was trying to stop me from playing D&D. Look at her face.
Oh yeah. The faces that people draw, the way that he draws faces, a bad person has a nasty face, and then a good person has a nice face, but a bad person can become a good person because there's no consistency, and their face radically changes when they do that.
What was the result? He just bought me $200 worth of new D&D figures and manuals. It was great.
They are expensive.
Yeah. Later that week, hey, Debbie, Marcy's on the phone. She wants to talk to you. She's really upset. I can't. I'm fighting the zombie. Tell her I'll see her tonight. Debbie's just sitting there playing D&D by herself. That's not really how it goes. Hi, Mrs. Anderson. Marcy wanted me to see her tonight. I'm glad you're here, Debbie. Marcy has shut herself in her room and she won't come out. She hasn't been herself for weeks. I've been very worried. Ever since her character in the game got killed, it's as though a part of her died. Maybe you can talk some sense into her. Oh my god. No! No, Marcy, you didn't have to do that. Oh no, Marcy hung herself with all her D&D figures around. And she left a note that said, "It's my fault Blackleaf died. I can't face life alone. Marcy." Ms. Frost, I can't get Marcy out of my mind. How could she do something like this? If I'd left the game, she'd be alive today. Get your priorities straight, Debbie. Your spiritual growth through the game is more important than some lousy loser's life. Jack Chick, what is going on? It would have happened sooner or later. Her spirit was too weak. But the law of our faith is that we can do anything we want as long as we harm no one. But now we have harmed Marcy. What have I gotten myself into? Don't be stupid, Debbie. I think you'd better let Elfstar take care of things. You're getting out of control. I don't want to be Elfstar anymore. I want to be Debbie.
And that's why there's no Debbies in the occult.
Wrong, Brenda. Hey, Debbie, what's wrong? Can I help? I thought I had all the answers, Mike, but now everything is falling apart. Sob. Debbie, I told you, Jesus is the only answer. I've been praying and fasting for you. Why would you do that for me? This is so fun. Because I know what you're involved in. It's a spiritual warfare that you can't win without the Lord Jesus. What can I do? Come with me to a meeting this afternoon. The speaker came out of witchcraft, and he knows what you're up against. That afternoon. Oh, this guy looks like Burt Reynolds. You who are involved in the occult think that you have achieved power, but you have been trapped in a dungeon of bondage. The limited power you have been given is only bait to lure you to destruction. But Jesus, Jesus. Jesus.
Dungeon of Bondage sounds fun.
I feel like, yeah, that'd be a place you would like. If you want the Lord Jesus as your Savior, come forward now. And then she's like this. And she goes, oh God, I need help. My life's a mess. Help me. I really want you to cut out this square for me. and make it like I want to just have it like a sticker or like I want this square. Okay.
I think we can make that happen.
Okay, good. And then this guy that looks like Burt Reynolds is like, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, I order you spirits of the occult to leave Debbie. Something about her being named Debbie is sending me. Oh, God. You guide me through life. I want you to be in charge of everything, not that lousy D&D manual. The end. Oh, God. It was so good. Debbie burned all of her occult material that night. I just want you to cut this out, this one square,
mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna put it in a little frame for me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put it on my desk. Oh God, I need help. My life's a mess. Help me. I really love it. Okay.
Brilliant.
This is my favorite episode we've ever done.
I was excited for it.
I just feel so happy. You're gonna have to cut all of it, but just whatever you want to do.
I love it. So the preacher guy is modeled after John Wayne Todd, this guy who claimed to be part of the Illuminati. John Wayne Todd withdrew from public appearances after 1979, perhaps because he thought there would be a satanic world takeover in 1980, which was a real claim that he made. In 1987, he was arrested for raping a University of South Carolina student and subsequently charged for molesting 2 kids at a karate school where he worked.
Oh my God.
He was convicted of rape in 1988 and sentenced to 30 years in prison. He was released in 2004, but only to the South Carolina Department of Health because he was severely mentally ill, where he died in 2007. Reporters were able to get copies of some of his Army medical records, which said he had emotional instability and compulsive lying, difficulty telling reality from fantasy, homicidal threats, and severe personality disturbance. Where I think Alberto Rivera was a grifter, I think Todd was just very mentally ill.
Mm.
Jack Chick was the lone mainstream evangelical voice to continue backing Todd throughout his life. Even the YouTube videos I watched made by Chick Publications in 2016, they sidestep his crimes to essentially say, maybe he did bad things, but I haven't seen anyone prove his claims to be wrong. Yeah. I do not think that Alberto Rivera or John Wayne Todd made Jack Chick a conspiracy theorist. Rather, I think Jack Chick was both unhinged and an opportunist. He believed his own bullshit so hard and would back up anyone he felt was on his side. In effect, he created a vicious cycle of self-isolation and radicalization, for himself and for those close to him. It is this conspiratorial thinking that defines his work for me. Even the comics that aren't about conspiracies, like The Devil's Nightmare, have that feel to them. It feels like a Jerry B. Jenkins and Tim LaHaye's Left Behind to me.
Mm-hmm.
In this grand conspiracy, this holy war against a literal Satan and his throne on earth, the Catholic Church, people aren't seen as people. Rather, they are pawns in a bigger eternal battle. Sure, this whole endeavor is theoretically because Jack Chick cares so much about you that he made books to tell you about Jesus, but in reality, it's about winning. He thinks he's playing 4D chess, but really, he's knocked the board over, pissed on it, and declared victory. Chick Publications also made longer-form comic books, and these are really where the stories of Alberto Rivera and John Wayne Todd are told in more depth. I did not read them because I could not find them online for free, and no one left them around the furry convention. Jack Chick died on October 23rd, 2016, peacefully at home, the bastard. Chick Publications, however, continues. You can buy these tracks to hand out today. They are 22 cents each, 5 for a pack of 25, and an assortment of other deals. Some of their more, shall we say, controversial titles, like the one where he says Catholics are responsible for the Holocaust, are generally out of print. You can still get them, however. You have to order a minimum of 10,000 of them, though.
Oh my God.
And that will run you $1,000. And that's half off. It's a deal. Before the roughly $200 shipping fee and whatever taxes are applicable here. I have 2 tangents before we totally wrap up. One, when I was printing these, the printer went haywire and printed out all that pages of red. Also just printed out this random page of symbols.
Oh, scary.
I'm sure we can blame the Catholics for it.
Let me see it. It just into this random page.
It sure did.
Eek! It's Ted Bundy. Oh my god.
Also, Jack Chick claimed, and I have no reason to not believe this, that he was close friends with Paul and Jan Crouch.
Yes.
On TVN. Claimed that he talked often with them and left his tracks around their set until he published one called The Gay Blade in 1972, and then he wasn't allowed to come back on it more. Not because they were pro-gay, because if they talked about it, there's a thing called the equal time doctrine, the fairness doctrine, where they had to give equal time on air to opposing viewpoints, and they didn't want to have any pro-homosexuality views on their program.
Wait, say it again. He put something on there called The Gay Blade, which was pro-gay?
No, one of his tracks was anti-gay, called
Yeah.
The Gay Blade. It wasn't as exciting as these ones.
Oh.
And he wanted them to like talk about it on air, but they wouldn't, because if they talked about it on air, because of the law, he says they would then have to talk about pro-homosexuality as well, give equal airtime to that.
What?
There was a fairness doctrine on television. I don't think that's what it meant in this case. But anyway, he claims to have known Paul and Jan Crouch and have been close personal friends with them.
I doubt it.
I like to think it's true. He's a liar in so many other ways. It's probably not, but in my mind, in my headcanon, he is.
I think he's too unhinged even for the wig lady.
There is quite a bit of ex-evangelical content about these tracks. Honestly, they make it pretty easy. While I kept the physical books I found at the furry convention, the other ones I've talked about today pulled directly from the website. It's very silly and outrageous content that is easy to mock, and they make it very accessible for you to do so. Some people, like me, have a morbid fascination with them. Early in my deconstruction, I would watch a lot of videos of people just going through them and making fun of them. Those videos are still a good time, if I'm being honest. We had a lot of fun here today.
Yep.
Jack Chick was unambiguously a bad guy who had awful and ignorant beliefs and made the world a worse place. But I think his work is also a really powerful reminder for us and ties in with the thesis of the show. Yes, the stuff is awful, and unfortunately it can have very real consequences. Jack Chick was a part of the satanic panic that didn't really ever go away. But also, this shit is dumb as fuck. It is inherently very silly. I think we should take the threat it poses seriously, but we can't just live in fear. That's the Dobson way. When we can rightfully laugh at it, it takes some of their power away. The emperor has no clothes. I yearn for the day when a person who unironically tries to cite Dobson and his ilk are laughed out of any public space. These beliefs do not deserve to be taken seriously. Until then, we always have Jack Chick to make fun of.
Yes.
Reader, let us know, what are your experiences with the Chick tracks? Do you have any favorites or perhaps least favorites? Also, I'm open to doing short form content where we like just go through these and make fun of these little books. There are so many of them, Brooke. I cannot tell you.
Also, I cannot wait to start finding these and identifying them across the city.
When you look for them, you'll probably find them more.
And readers, please send us your photos of finding them in the wild.
I'll probably cut this. There's just one other thing. He was a King James Version supremacist. He believed any other version of the Bible was an instrument of Satan.
Yeah, sure.
We didn't even get into it. Brooke, even as we talked about fucked up shit, I had a good time with this.
I had a really good time with this. I don't feel like I was traumatized at all tonight, and I appreciate that because we aren't feeling good, so thank you. And that was a lot of fun, except for the part where I had to say full-blown names.
A bunch of times.
And I hate Jack Chick, but also kind of that was fun.
Thank you for being willing to laugh with me and share in my morbid sense of humor. The world is a better place without Jack Chick in it, although I do find some humor in what he had. I hate the impact that he had, but even more so, I hate James Dobson.
I hate James Dobson too.
Readers, thank you. Buy our merch and we'll see you next time.
Wrong, Brenda.
I Hate James Dobson is a labor of love, spite. Written, recorded, edited, and produced by me, Jake. In this venture, I am honored to be joined by my amazing co-host, Brooke. If you're enjoying the show, please consider rating and reviewing it. And if you want to connect with us more, You can find us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube at I Hate James Dobson, and somehow still on Twitter at IHateJDobs. You can also email us at IHateJamesDobson@gmail.com. We have merch available at IHateJamesDobson.printful.me or on our website, IHateJamesDobson.com. Our theme music is by Mood Maze and the song is called Trendsetter. Special thanks, as always, to Drew, Lindsay, DJ, Jack, and Gary. And thank you, readers, for enjoying our show.
Wrong, Brenda.